Now, in this refresher course module here, we'll not write a complex React app because that's simply not the idea of this module. We will write a realistic app in the main module later in this course, after this module here, where we will work on the course project. So that's just a refresher here, and I focus on the core React elements therefore, and not on building an amazing application. So React is all about components, and therefore typically we split our app in components. Now let's start without splitting it though, and instead of outputting a h1 tag, here in app, I will use a div, let's say, and in that div, let's add more HTML code. I'm saying HTML here. Of course, it's JSX, but it is translated to HTML, to DOM nodes in the end, right? But it is JSX. So here we could have a h2 tag where we say course goals, and below that we want to have a list on, or the list of our course goals. And there a goal could be that we want to finish the course, that we want to learn all about the course main topic, and that we want to, let's say, help our students in the course Q&A section. And that could be some goals. Now, a very trivial application. Now, I don't have any special spectacular styling here, which is why we save that and we get this output. Now, I will add some styling, and for that, I will add a app CSS file here and import that file into the JavaScript file. This, of course, is not possible in vanilla JavaScript, but because of that under the hood tooling, which in the end analyzes our files and then transforms the code, this is possible, and this is simply transformed to inject this CSS code into the HTML file as well. Now here, I'll give this a CSS class, and there is one special thing. The class attribute like this doesn't exist in JSX because class is a keyword in JavaScript. So it is class name, and this is how you add CSS classes to elements in JSX. This also, of course, is kind of a proof or reminds you of the fact that this is not HTML, but HTML-ish looking syntax. I'll name this class goal list here, and now in here we can define some styles for the goal list here, and I will simply set list style to none here, remove a margin or give it a margin of 2 rem top and bottom, and a padding of 0. And on every goal list item, I will add a margin of 1 rem top and bottom, 0 to left and right, and then simply a border of 1 pixel solid, and then this grayish color here, and a padding of 1 rem. And this is very, very simple styling because I don't want to spend a lot of time on writing CSS styles here. Now, maybe one adjustment. Let's actually give the list a margin of 2 rem in all directions. Now we have this list of our goals. To adjust the course goals here at the top, I will also give this div a class name of course goals. And then in the CSS file, maybe at the very top, we can style course goals, and there the h2 tag to be aligned in the center, just like that. Now, again, very huge goals, but that is okay for this course here. We're just practicing React. So we got these course goals here. Awesome. This, of course, is a very simple markup. Now, what you often would do in React is you would split this into more components. You would, for example, outsource this list into a separate component to keep every component on its own, relatively lean and focused on one task. For that, we can add a components subfolder here in the source folder. And in there, I will add a goal list.js file. This will hold my goal list component. Now, to create such a new component, we first of all have to import React from React. Otherwise, we can't use this JSX syntax. And then I mentioned that a component is a function. And by the way, you can also create it with the function keyword or with the function expression or with the arrow function syntax I used before, which is the syntax I will use here, but that is not a must do. And then here I export my goal list like this. And now in here, I return this unordered list. So I'll cut it here. and then add it here as a return value. And if I reformat that, you see automatically these parentheses are added around it so that this can be nicely formatted across multiple lines. Otherwise, this would not be valid JavaScript. So it is. With the parentheses it is, because then JavaScript knows that this block belongs together. So now we have the goal list in here, and in app.js, we can now import our goal list component. You can name this here however you want. Doesn't have to be the same name as under which you exported here. Only important thing is that it has to start with an uppercase character here in app.js. And I import from the components folder, and they are from goal list. And as I mentioned earlier, you can omit the file extension here. It's not required. And then here you use goal list like a regular JSX element, like a regular HTML element, you could say. But since we have no content between the opening and closing tag, we can and we have to write a self-closing tag here. This would not be allowed. You always have to close tags in JSX. So this would now be my goal list component. And therefore, if we save this, we see the same output as before. We also get the same styling because styles here are always applied globally, even if you import them into a specific component file. And still, it is a good practice to set up the styles in the CSS file next to the component they belong to. Hence, I will add a goal list CSS file, add my goal list styles there, and import that goal list CSS file into the goal list JavaScript file. This is not a must-do, but it makes it easy to find the styles that belong to this component. Keep in mind that styles are not automatically scoped to a component though. The normal CSS rules are applied because all the CSS files, no matter where you import them, are applied globally to your entire page. With that though, we're back to the same result as before. So why did we do that then? Why do we split this up if we have the same result as before?